Hi.
Hi.
Are we live? Yes,
We're
hi.
live. Woo.
Happy World Fringe Day. We're here with
World Fringe Day.
UK Fringe festivals. Guys, would you like to introduce your festivals and yourselves, starting with Nick?
Hello, my name is Nick Wishner. I'm the director at Guildford Fringe Festival, which is happening right now. I'm sitting in our box office, so thanks for chatting to us.
James, and I can half see someone else with you.
Fiona. This is Fiona.
Hello.
Hi, we're from Bedford Fringe. We're running from the 21st, 22nd and 23rd of July. We're doing a slightly shorter one this year. We normally run them for around 10 days, but my excuse is I had a baby and I'm getting married on the 4th of August, and that's
Hey, congratulations. And Matt, go for it.
Hi, I'm Matt Fox, director of the Swindon Fringe. We ran back in April, which is why I look much more relaxed than everyone else, sat in an armchair. But yeah, we run for 10 days in Swindon and we're in our 5th year now.
Yeah, awesome. So we've got 3 UK Fringe festivals all happening over the summer. Why don't you tell us something about your Fringe that we can't find out online? Nick.
Well, you can find everything out online because our website is so comprehensive. But we are a really small Fringe festival. Although it's World Fringe Day for the 70 years, it's actually our 5th birthday this year. So it's a really big deal for us. From 2013, and I started it because, well, I was an actor and I didn't want to tour anymore, so I didn't really know anything else to do. And we literally started it without a penny. So it's completely grassroots, kind of built up from just spreading the word by word of mouth, and we're still here in our 5th year, so I'm over the moon to still be sitting here talking to you guys.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. And so the essence of your Fringe, what makes it different?
What makes it? I think a fringe festival is all about kind of giving opportunities to acts to perform for very little money, but also, and I think we've really gone down this route of making it accessible to audiences to try something they normally wouldn't. I mean, Guildford is rich in the arts year round. There's always something going on, but it's without being too rude, it's very middle class, and that's the kind of thing we get in Guildford. The Fringe Festival, what we've done is open the doors to lots of other things that wouldn't be able to play at the Ivanano Theatre or G Live, which are very expensive venues. But through the Fringe Festival, because we've got a really nice deal with them, these people can have the opportunity to perform there. But more importantly, the ticket prices are so low that people can come and try out some stuff that they wouldn't normally. So tickets are £7. They can come and we get loads of people through the doors going, well, maybe I wouldn't see that again, but I'm glad I did see it. And they've only lost £7. So I think that's what a Fringe is to us, and that's what we're really trying to drive home.
Accessible for all, isn't it, really?
Yeah, brilliant. How about you guys up in Bedford?
What you can't find, yeah, as I say, our website's fairly comprehensive as well. Spend most of the evenings updating it. I mean, Bedford, again, maybe a little bit like Guildford. We're, sort of like a market town, middle class sort of town, if you like, but we do have a very celebrated cultural community here from sort of BME groups, which we try and engage with. It can be a challenge, but we do our best to try and do that. Like Guildford as well, our ticket prices, we try and keep everything below £10. I think that sort of sounds cheaper if everything's under £10. We're running about 45 events, which sort of for Bedford is a lot of things over 3 days. You might see 45 events in Bedford over maybe 3 or 4 months. And it's, as you guys know, it's all stuff that's, either a fringe entertainment. So it's all very defy the norm kind of stuff, as well as a lot of comedy. We preview a lot of comedians as well. We're 11 years old this year, so we've been doing it for a while. I don't know what else.
The other thing that we've been able to do, I think, which otherwise Bedford wouldn't have so much, is bring a lot of international artists over the years. So we've had from Japan, Australia, South Africa, various other kind of places around the world who are using us because we're so late in July as that kind of stepping stone to Edinburgh. And so we've been, especially to those BME groups that James was talking about, of some of their own culture, kind of bringing that back to Bedford and celebrating that as well.
Yeah, I think we're quite fortunate. We're very close to London and we're very close to Edinburgh Festival in terms of dates. So we get the last of the previews, which are very polished, 60-minute pieces, because as you know, it's so fierce up in Edinburgh. There's no such thing as almost like a preview at Edinburgh anymore. You need to be on the game, don't you, on day one for the press. So the Bedford people get something of, some quite good sort of high quality previews. So
we also get to spot the people that, in 2 months' time, once they finish their Edinburgh, are going to be on, Mock a Week or whatever else, and be able to sit there and go, well, I saw them ages ago. I already knew about them. So a little bit of bragging rights we try not to do.
You are very allowed. You're allowed to brag. I like your posters. Can you tell me what's going on in your posters?
So they are quotes from. So last year was our 10th anniversary festival, and so we did a whole load of tin cans for Tin and 10. And so these are quotes from our audiences last year of what was your best bit. So on the back of our shirts actually is hashtag what's your best bit.
Oh, nice.
Cool. That's our branding for this year, is telling us all about your best bit. So we've got things like it's great to be surprised by something brilliant, or it's like the reduced section in Waitrose, only everything's still super fresh and the top brands are all in stock.
Brilliant.
That's sort of things that our audience have said about the festival and about what we do.
Lush, I love it. And Matt, what about you? What can't we find out about your festival online? Give us some inside info.
Well, I think different from the other two, Swindon is infamously the butt of any joke about where culture isn't. It's an old railway town. It's a bit like a northern town in the south. But actually, it's a weird old place where loads of interesting stuff has happened, but no one ever shined a light on it. And everyone thought you had to drive to Oxford or Bath or somewhere to see some culture.
Yeah.
So the whole point of the Swindon Fringe really was to kind of make people think, actually, there's stuff happening in this town. There's some amazing people that come out of it. And since we started, 2 fringe venues have actually started in Swindon. There was no fringe venues. We were just using any space we could find, and trying to get deals with commercial theatres, but now actually a fringe scene has been created all year round off the back of it.
Brilliant.
And the other thing we do is because audiences aren't massively used to kind of slightly left field kind of experiences, they tend to go to the theatre to see stand-ups and tribute bands. We show all of our performances in pairs, so someone will come to see one thing, but they'll get something completely separate to see that they'd never thought to see, and trying to kind of give people opportunity to see new stuff.
Yeah, that's really good. So they kind of go back to back in the same place.
Yeah, so you get like two shows, you have an interval in the middle. We tend to put the one we think people are less likely to be coming to see on first, they can't escape halfway through. And then people kind of recognise that, and when they come back, they're kind of the headliner.
Yeah, wow, that's cool. So, all of you, kind of, where did your fringe journeys start? Where did you get hooked into fringe? Nick, you can start with that one. What was your first experience of fringe festivals?
Well, my first experience of fringe was Fringe Theatre in London, and I had been to Edinburgh probably about 8 years ago. I didn't think anything of it in terms of starting one in Guildford for sure. But when I was ending my career as an actor, I started going and seeing a lot of fringe theatre up in town. And I saw a play at the Landor Theatre, which was in Clapham North. I don't think it's there anymore. And I was kind of already decided to stop touring myself. And there's a room very similar in the back room of the Star Inn in Guildford. So I just thought, you know what, I'm not going to act anymore. I'm going to do one last show. Very self-indulgent. I'm going to be in it myself. Good. Say goodbye to the theatre game, and that'll be it. I'll go and find a job. That show sold out. That was back in 2012. And what the next show was, there was no other show because it wasn't a company at that time. So anyway, we produced another play which I wasn't in, which was Me as a Penguin by Tom Wells. Really lovely comic play, really good piece of theatre. That also sold out. So then I kind of thought, well, I'm not going to get a job. I'm going to carry on doing this.
You're popular.
Well, I don't know how it happened. It was a bit of luck. We had no money, literally nothing. We did the only marketing we did was Twitter and Facebook because at that time it was free. So we started networking with the local arts scene, and I realised how much was going on in Guildford on the smaller scale. Theatre companies and comics and arts exhibitions, that kind of thing, but they couldn't afford to do as much as they wanted to do. And that's where the idea of doing Guildford Fringe Festival came about, because Fringe Festival is a platform and kind of an umbrella, if you like, for people that can't necessarily afford to do it on their own. So we did our first one, and that was in 2013 as a festival. and I wasn't sure, because of what Guildford is, if it was wanted. So we did it in one venue, Back Room of the Star Inn, and we did 33 events in 2012, and it just went mad. We were inundated with applications. Almost all the shows were sold out. It was completely unexpected, and we made some money out of it, which was even more unexpected.
Brilliant.
It was awesome. And now we're kind of
a rare gem.
Yeah, we're up to 12 venues now, so we're still tiny. 12 venues across Guildford, and we've got 141 events this month.
About the same age.
Over the moon about.
Size as us,
Yeah.
And James, and sorry, I've forgotten your name.
Fiona.
Sorry, James and Fiona. When were you first aware that Fringe was a thing, and how did you get started up there?
Cool. Yeah. Well, I mean, I sort of started working as a promoter in Bedford around 2002 December. I came from another theatre in Essex that hosted a number of Fringe shows, like Putnam's Adolf and what was the Richard Ayoade, his show from Edinburgh, and people like Lee Evans and Ross Noble. And when I came into my new post here in Bedford, I thought it'd be nice to bring a bit of that here. So I went off to the Edinburgh Festival, found loads of stuff, did a couple shows at Edinburgh as well, and then thought around 2007 would be a good time to maybe think about bringing Bedford, the idea of a Fringe festival to Bedford. Lots of people were sort of, said that's ridiculous, that's never going to work. Here we are 11 years down the line. We started off in a little theatre that's closed now, doing about 35 events in a week. And we change every year, we decide what we want to do. If we're going to do a really long festival, we're going to do something short. We change our branding every year, a bit like Edinburgh. I sort of take all my inspiration from Edinburgh, and more in particular from Christopher Richardson, who used to be the director of the Pleasance. Now retired, it's Anthony now. So we like to sort of follow that model and that mantra. We're open to anybody. We'll program anything and anyone. And we when people sort of say, "Oh, that was a bit of a rubbish show," and I go, "Well, you go to Edinburgh and you might see something that isn't that great." So we've recreated what you would experience in Edinburgh in Bedford. Obviously, during a Fringe festival, within 60 minutes, you're seeing something that might actually blow you away. And it's not like you go to the theatre once a year to see Matilda in London. You're watching 10 shows. In a few days or whatever, and the people in Bedford really engage with that. We get people spending £300-400, on one booking.
Amazing.
Yeah. But anyway, that's so it's literally just from going to Edinburgh and saying, I want to buy a house in Bedford, but I want to buy a house in a town that's got a Fringe festival. What I'm going to do about it? Start a Fringe festival.
Make it yourself.
Yes. My experience actually is based on my first Fringe that I ever did was the first BedFringe. I was 17 at the time and decided that I wanted to go into the technical side of theatre, and James ran a theatre, so I sent him an email going, if you ever need a hand with anything, please give me a shout. And he went, well, I'm starting this Fringe festival, do you want to come along? And 11 years later, I built my way up from lowly technician to co-director. So it was a nice way of doing that, and kind of got introduced through BedFringe before I went up to Edinburgh for the first time. So I was like, oh, it's like ours, but bigger.
That's so cool. How about you, Matt? When did you first get wowed by Fringe?
Well, funny enough, I used to go to, I'm a producer and writer and whatnot, and I used to take shows up to the Camden Fringe kind of all the time. I found a problem I found is those big fringes are a bit of a opportunity to lose all your money. Certainly Edinburgh is famously that, and I wanted an opportunity for people to not lose all their money and people to just try anything out with no risk. So our Fringe is a bit of a socialist dream in the sense that no one has to pay us anything to take part in it at all.
Wow.
We kind of take all the risk on board, and that's really been great for kind of getting fledgling people with no money behind them to come down and just try something out.
Yes.
And now people who started with us 5 years ago are now doing the big fringes, and we're not pretending we're Edinburgh, and we'd like to be a bit of a dress rehearsal Fringe. If you want to try something out with us and then take it off to the big boys later, then feel free.
Yeah, like it.
Yeah, and I wrote in 2012. I wrote an opera called Swindon the Opera. We got 60 grand off the lottery to do it, and we did it in there's a big museum in Swindon. It's the old railway works, and we did it in there, and it was all about kind of Swindon history, Swindon culture. And it sold out, and we were amazed. We just thought it was a bit of a jolly. And suddenly we were like, well, people might be interested. So 2013, we started a Fringe festival.
Yeah, amazing. Brilliant. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up now, I think, and say happy World Fringe Day to you all. Would you like to leave us with a parting fringe word of some kind?
Word of wisdom.
Why are they important? Why are fringes important? Like, distinctly. Are you there? Yeah, anyone? Nick?
I think what I say to our mailing list and our audiences, go to a fringe and just try something you would never normally try.
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah.
How about you, James?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That's what we're doing. We're bringing things that are, you know, I think one of the guys there said something about, you know, rather than coming and seeing a tribute band or, you know, really famous stand-up comedian, a fringe festival gives people the opportunity to come and see stuff that's very, very different. So we're taking the risk, you take the risk. Let's all enjoy the risk together, and hopefully we'll come out the other end feeling a lot better.
Feeling grateful that we've taken the risk.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. How about you, Matt?
I think Fringe. I think Fringe is important because it's where I think everything starts. I mean, if you talk to any actor that, you know, is doing the big stuff now, they will have done Fringe. That's where it all starts. That's where you kind of, you know, you develop your trade, you play your art, and you kind of get a really often brutal, often very honest experience that you can then draw on for the rest of your career.
Yeah. Brilliant. Oh, well, happy Fringe Day to you all, and thank you so much for joining us.
That's okay.
And I'm sure
Happy World Fringe Day.
Yeah,
happy World Fringe Day.
Yeah, enjoy your festival, Nick, as well. Have a good time.
Yeah, good luck, Nick. See you later. Bye.
Cheers, guys.